had a wonderful time during COVID.
Yeah, so we were talking about COVID and how it's changed the way that everyone, so many people now, so many companies work remotely is really changing the future of culture, of connecting. And with music, part of me was thinking that it's really good that you have to kind of be in person, but of course, during the quarantine, it wasn't good because it wasn't healthy.
Music came to a complete standstill.
Yeah, so tell us how were you able to keep things going?
Well, I have one section of my website that is called Thriving During COVID.
Yes,
All
I've seen that, yes.
All the wonderful things that happened during COVID.
Yes, I encourage everyone to check that out.
Yes. Because we couldn't make music.
Right.
You couldn't. So we tried all sorts of strategies, but nothing worked. So what I did with the grown-up orchestra, we cancelled everything. Cancelled the season. Actually, I think it was 2 seasons. But certainly, music ground to a complete standstill. What we were able to do was to raise enough money to pay the players anyway.
Yes.
And we didn't have to do that. There was no obligation, and many orchestras didn't. They just simply closed down. The reason we did it was because they have mortgages and children, and how were they to manage? The result of it was unpredictable and better than I might have hoped, because when they came back to play, there was a feeling in their playing of gratitude that I had not felt before. And that was really amazing, that they discovered that the people who were in charge of the orchestra felt sufficiently strongly for their needs and were carrying that they gave back more than they had ever given before. That's a very important thing to discover. If an organization or any group of people, even a family, if they practice generosity as a way of being, as a way of life, always say yes, rather than, well, no, we can't afford it, or we might get into trouble, or there may be a bad, just simply to say, if somebody wants something, give it to them, whatever it is, and the payback will be vastly
research
great.
shows that when you are generous, it pays back in spades, and it's so good for your wellness. So definitely,
And so our whole philosophy is based on that. And now I'm taking the youth orchestra on tour, as we do every year. And this time to Europe, it's staggering expense because they all go for nothing. 140 people going to Europe for free, playing in the greatest concert halls, with all the hotels and the expenses, and they are stunned and amazed and deeply grateful, and that comes back in so many ways, unpredictable but also unpredictable. And so I think it's a very good, one of the assignments, every week I give out an assignment to the young players, which is not it's a spiritual assignment. And one of them is be more generous than you think you have the resources for. And if you live that way, that you're more generous with your time, with your attention, with your money, with your resources of all kinds, just be more generous than you think you can manage. That's actually a very powerful idea. It's a possibility to live into. It's not an instruction. It doesn't say you should give 1/10 of your income or whatever. It just says be more generous than you think you are.
Yes.
And that gives you a way, like a bird learning to fly. Suddenly says, oh, these wings, they're really good. They get me up in the air. And that's what those assignments are for, to broaden our experience and our range.
Yes, and I bet it helps them figure out their possibilities.
Absolutely.
So I love this book that my piano teacher, who studied under you when he was a junior and senior at Walnut Hill, so about 20-something years ago he was there. So he recommended this to me. And I wanted to tell you that a couple of decades ago, a close advisor of mine, his name's Rick, he said to me at lunch, he's talking about me, see possibilities where others do not. And at the time, I took note of it, but I didn't exactly know what he meant. But I appreciated it. But I've been thinking about that. I think about that often. Because I didn't really ask him, like, what do you mean? And then, of course, when I read your book, I thought about it. So I'm really curious how you two came up with possibility as something you wanted to have as your anchor point for...
Possibility has been in the world since the beginning. All the great religions and all the great stories are based on the idea of possibility. Something that is beyond the ordinary, beyond the expected, beyond trends, beyond what we have in our life as the next step. Because the next step is linear. You do this and then you do that. You get a good grade in your high school, you go to a good college, you get to a good college, you go to a good job, and then you get it, and so on. That's the normal way of acting. The possibility lives outside that world. We know what we know, and we know what we don't know. But what we don't know is what we don't know that we don't know. Right? So that's an arena beyond what is immediately in front of us. So it can, and it's available to everybody. Your teacher pointed out that you had a tendency in that direction. You had a natural excitement or flair or energy that made it more likely that you would come up with some unusual way of thinking. But actually it's available to everybody. And the point about this book is that the art of possibility is an art that everybody can master. But it is not easy. It's simple, but it's not that easy. And what we say about this book is that it's, if you like, a manual with practices that have to be practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. And we never, ever learn to be complete master of possibility. But it's something that we can develop more and more skill in, and the results are invariably thrilling, rewarding, satisfying, and happy-making. So, and the way we know that is because people, and I discovered this with my orchestra, that when people are engaged in this way of being, their eyes light up. And we call that the shining eyes test. And I always know if I'm in a conversation with somebody or we're doing something together, that if the eyes are shining, you know you're in it. And the other night in the orchestra, both in the orchestra and in the audience, I'm sure you notice there's an extraordinary amount of energy in the faces and in the eyes. And that to me is...
It's very special.
It's the final, to me it's the goal, really, because human beings can't lie with their eyes. They can lie with their mouths, but they can't lie with their eyes. The eyes always tell the truth. And if the eyes are dull and dejected and hopeless, it doesn't matter what the person is saying. Because if they're speaking platitudes of pleasure or joy or happiness, if their eyes are dull, you know they're not telling the truth. I call that positive thinking. And that, positive thinking is better than negative thinking, but not much. Because the problem with positive thinking is like a hand. You have the front of the hand and the back of the hand. The front of the hand is great, positive, but the back of the hand goes with it. You can't take it away. So the trouble with positive thinking, although it's good in a way, is that it carries the negative with it. Possibility, on the other hand, has no back of the hand. It's just possibility. That's why the sign for possibility is a circle with arrows going out in all directions.
Yes,
There's no front and the back.
Yes.
There's no top and bottom. There's
Yes.
no up and down. So it's just possibility. That's all there is.
Yeah.
And if people would learn that distinction,
Yeah.
even something as simple as a girl who meets a young man and waits frustratedly and anxiously for him to call. Like, what's going on? He will call, he won't call. He will call, he won't call. You've got the front of the hand and the back of the hand. The expectation drives the mood. Therefore, disappointment travels with the expectation automatically, as much as the back of the hand travels with the front. So it's very hard to get people out of that dichotomy of winning and losing, failing and success that is demonstrated by the hand. If the expectation is dominating, it's leading. And so possibility is another realm. It's a totally, it doesn't have any of that. It is literally just that, possibility. You meet a guy, oh, there's another guy. Or you try something out and you don't enjoy it, you try something else. In other words, it's not, there's no linear or
It's not
back
binary.
and forth.
Yeah.
So it's a realm to play in. So it's playful. Possibility is playful. Positive thinking is not playful. It's gritted teeth. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to, be positive, even though you know it's shitty and everything's terrible. And which is why the English refer to stiff upper lip. Yeah, I'm positive. I'm sorry, that doesn't really work. And it's much better to be honest. I mean, I love to tell the story of my father in the internment camp, because he was a refugee from Nazi Germany, and with 2,000 other men in the internment camp in the Isle of Man, and because they'd all lost, he lost his home and his belongings and his career and his mother in Auschwitz and one of the other camps, and everything was difficult. When he got to the camp and saw what was going on there, he said, I thought, well, these intelligent people, maybe we should have a university. And so they started the university in that camp. He told me they had 46 classes and not a single book. No paper, no pencil, no chalkboard, nothing. Just people talking to each other. Now that is possibility. If he'd gone around saying, isn't it great here?